Hey everyone, we're back in the studio today to do another tutorial on reversal film processing. Now the last tutorial was how to make slides from black and white film. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a color slide from C41 negative film, like the Kodak Gold that you can get at any grocery store or any other C41 film. Now it's pretty common practice for people to cross-process their E6 films, which is a slide film, to make color negatives out of it. We're going to go the other direction, and I'm going to teach you a process on how to take your negative film and make it positive. Now, before we get started, you're going to need to know a couple of things. C41 film has an orange base. The process I'm going to show you minimizes that orange base, but it is not going to remove it completely. So if you shoot indoors under tungsten light, you're very likely to have very, very orange slides. And even outdoors under natural light, your slides are going to be a lot closer to the warmer side than they are to cool. They look great. They're usable, especially if you scan them and you color correct them in post, they're fantastic. But if you're going to project them, just know that these will create a warmer slide. Now this isn't a process that I came up with myself. A lot of people have cross-processed going this direction, C41 film. I'm just showing you the combination of a couple of different processes that you can find online that I've combined to give you kind of what I think is the best result. So just full disclosure, this isn't one that I made myself, it's just the way I like to do things. Anyway, the first thing you're going to want to do to reduce the color cast on your images is you're going to shoot this film 2 stops over. Since this is an ISO 100 film, I went out and shot it at ISO 25. When we process it, we're going to pull by 2 stops. That means that the orange cast on the back that is created by dye development is not going to have as much time to develop the orange dyes, while the rest of our image being 2 stops over should develop fine. I'm going to go load this roll of Kodak Gold 100 into this Nikon Nikkor mat here, and I'm going to go out and shoot some shots. And I'll be back in a little bit and we'll show you how this process works. So I've loaded up the roll of film in my daylight development tank. Just like the last time, I use a Jobo processor. You can do this by hand just as easily. Just like in my black and white process, I use HC110B at 12 minutes for my first developer. That's going to develop a really, really dense first negative that's going to work exactly the same way as it did in the black and white process to create a mask that we will then be bleaching away and developing against. So I'm going to go toss this in the developer for 12 minutes and we'll come back when it's done and I'll show you the next step. Okay, the film is out of my processing machine now and we're going to go on to the next step. The next step is going to be just the same as our next step was for the black and white process. We're going to pop the top on the film and we're going to take it out. Now you want to make sure obviously that you've washed your film really well, that there's no latent developer left on it. But when you pull it off, what you should see is a very, very dense, very thick black and white negative. That's the mask for our reversal process. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to put it in front of a light source to fog the rest of the film. And since I have some studio lights here, we're just going to use those. You can also do this with overhead lamps, or you can use flashlights or whatever. You just want to make sure that you have gone through and exposed it very, very thoroughly. And you want to make sure all the silver has been exposed. So I've passed it 3 or 4 times in front of this bright studio light. We're going to put it back in the container. Now the next step we're going to do is going to be your normal everyday C41 color process. But remember, I said we're going to be pulling at 2 stops. So the kit that I've been using lately has been the Cinestill kit, but I've also done this with the Tetanol powdered kits. Cinestill's directions recommend that you decrease your development time by 45 seconds for a 1-stop pull, but they do not list a time for 2-stop. So what I'm going to do is do 45 seconds for the 1-stop and reduce it another 45 seconds for the 2nd stop. And remember, this is just so that we can reduce the orange cast. You wouldn't want to do this normally on your film. So I'm going to go ahead and do the color development process for a 2-stop pull, and we'll be back in a sec. Okay, we're back from the development. Now I'm going to pull the film back out of the tank so I can explain to you what it looks like. At this point, it is not necessary to pull it back out of the tank, but it's a good idea for me to just show you kind of what you should expect at this stage. So I'm going to pop the top back on the tank and we're going to pull the film out. Now if everything has gone right, you should have a very, very dense looking piece of film. It should look like it's been completely developed because it has. The way color negative film works, the silver particles respond to dye couplers to generate dye clouds in response to the development of the silver. So while we have developed all of the silver in this image, there should be hiding in this image a dye cloud based positive image, which we're going to get to in a minute. Now with the black and white process, we had a bleach to bleach away the rest of the silver, leaving only the black and white silver we wanted. Because this is a color process, we can just use the Blix. We actually want to destroy all of the silver in the image, and the Blix is designed to do that. So we're going to go and we're going to put this back in the tank, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to bleach it with the Bleach solution from the Cinestill kit. The Cinestill kit's Bleach time is 8 minutes, and I found with some C41 emulsions that 8 minutes is not long enough when you're doing a reversal, that it doesn't destroy all the silver. If you see really foggy highlights in your image, you can throw these film back in the tank and you can bleach it for longer. Typically, I say it tends to be between 10 and 12 minutes in that situation, but really that's up to you. If you can get away with 8, fine. If not, you can go 12. You can also, if you want, just run them all for 12. It isn't really going to hurt them. Anyway, we're going to go do the bleach, and we'll be back in a second to show you the results. Okay, we're back. The film has been bleached, and we should, if everything goes right, have some really nice looking slides when we're done. So this is straight out of the tank, and it'll be a little bit hard to see, so I'll put scans at the end. It still obviously has an orange cast to it, especially on the leader end where you can really see through it, but the rest of it is basically black with a very, very light orange tint to it. Especially the shot here in these two that I did out in daylight have a very nice color to them, and on the light box look almost correctly color balanced. So like I said earlier, they are a little bit warm. Any of the images on this roll would scan very, very easily and make a very, very nice image. I'll show some scans here at the end. I also shot a few under tungsten light. And again, it'll be a little hard for you to see, so I'll show scans at the end. But the ones under tungsten light are much more orange and have a much less proper color balance to them. They are very, very, very towards the warm side. Anyway, it's an interesting process. It creates some interesting results, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you try it out, let me know in the comments. If you have any issues with it, let me know in the comments as well. I'm happy to help out, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.